Welcome to Musings on Monday. For the first season of Musings on Monday, I take a look back at my books and my own thoughts on my own works. But for this season, I'm going to be reviewing other people's books and having musings on their books. You probably wouldn't know this, but I've actually been really nervous about reviewing other authors' books. Not because I don't like books or because I don't like reading, but I'm always afraid that I'll say the wrong thing somehow and hurt authors or their books or anything like that. So I've been really nervous about this, but I think it's something that I really want to do, and so I'm excited to jump into it. What I thought would be easier for me to do reviews is if I started with an author that I really loved. I'm a huge fan of Courtney Summers. I have most of her books. Here's only some of them that I have here. I try to find all of them and I've got them stashed everywhere. I'm really bad at keeping track of my books. Today I'm excited to review Courtney Summers' newest book, The Project. If you're unfamiliar with Courtney Summers, she tends to write really visceral, raw, young adult thrillers that focus on flawed female heroines who are trying to navigate really, really difficult situations, like murder, rape, and this one's about cults. The project in the title of the book is something called the Unity Project. It is an organization / religion that claims its main focus is on helping people and on community outreach and bringing everyone together. Much like Courtney Summers' last book, Sadie, this one follows two sisters, older sister B and her younger sister Lo. When B is 19 and Lo is 13, Lo and the parents are involved in a car accident that leaves both the parents dead, and Lo has serious injuries afterwards. B is only 19 years old, she lost her parents, her sister's very sick and out in comas, and she doesn't know how to deal with all the trauma and tragedy, and Lo is only 13 and doesn't know how to deal with all the trauma and tragedy either. The book follows both sisters' POVs over two different time periods. B's starts in 2013, right after the accident, while Lo's starts in 2018. While Lo is still recovering from the accident, B gets involved with the Unity Project, and she eventually moves into the compound and stops all contact with her sister. Now in 2018, Lo hasn't talked to her sister in 6 years, and she thinks that it's because the Unity Project is actually a dangerous cult, and she's determined to find out what's going on. That's basically the beginning of the story and where the setup is. We find out how B becomes involved in the Unity Project, and Lo starts investigating and finding out what really happened. One of the main other players in the story that I haven't mentioned yet is Lev Warren, the leader of the Unity Project. He's charismatic and he's promising a world of love and peace, and after what B and Lo have been through, both of them kind of feel drawn to find out if there's truth in that, because they both really want love and peace. I don't want to say much more than that because I don't want to give away spoilers, but that's, I've got the premise of the novel. I have always really been fascinated by cults. I've watched and read a ton of books about basically every major cult that exists, and so I was really excited to see Courtney Summers tackle it. Courtney always does such a wonderful job of writing really flawed, angry heroines who are angry because they have a right to be angry, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with and manage this rage that they've been storing up, because life is unfair and life is cruel, especially for young women, and for having them to kind of figure out how to navigate that and how to turn their anger into something that they can use to better themselves and other people. While it's definitely a thriller and a mystery, I would say The Project is ultimately a love story. It's kind of twisted and dark, but it's really about what love is and what love means and what people are willing to do for love. And it's also about how the desire for love, how desires for good can be twisted into dark and dangerous things. I think Courtney does an excellent job of humanizing and making what can seem like unfathomable decisions seem reasonable and probable. She does a good job of pulling you in. You can understand how and why these young women make the choices that they make. I actually mostly read a lot of fantasy and magical stuff, but two of the main contemporary authors I like who write things that aren't necessarily magical are Courtney Summers and Gillian Flynn. And actually, whenever I read one of their works, I'm always reminded of the other's works. But both of them have really nailed the idea of really damaged angry women. I would say that is, I think that Courtney Summers calls herself, well no, I think she's been labeled and happily accepts the label of being the master of the bitch. And I would say that is an accurate description. And despite the heavy subject, I really enjoyed reading The Project. I thought that it was really compelling and interesting. If you are a fan of Gillian Flynn, if you are a fan of Courtney Summers' other books, if you enjoy murder mysteries, books about cults, true crime stories, true crime podcasts, I definitely think that you should try out The Project, because you'll love it. It was a really good book. I hope you've enjoyed my review of The Project, and I hope that you'll check it out. It's available now, I think, in hardcover, ebook, audiobook. I've heard the audiobook is really good, and I know the audiobook for Sadie was amazing, but I haven't actually checked this one out yet, but I assume it's really good if you're into audiobooks. If you haven't listened to Sadie's audiobook, sorry, it's going on that, you definitely should, because it's set up, because the story is written like in a true crime podcast, and they really incorporate that really well in the audiobook. So if you love true crime podcasts, you should definitely check out Sadie. Sorry, you should also check out The Project, but I just haven't listened to the audiobook yet. So thank you for tuning in. I had a great time reviewing this. It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be, and I really enjoyed reading the book. I hope that you check it out. I'll have links so that you can find out more about Courtney Summers and The Project. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you're reading right now. And I'm also looking for recommendations for good young adult horror or adult horror novels. I'm kind of in a horror mood, although next week I'm not reading a horror, but you do have to stay tuned to find out what it is. I'll be back on Wednesday with another Writing on Wednesday video where I give tips about writing, and then I'll be back next week with another review. So thank you again, and happy reading. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.